problems. This episode, I'm gonna be honest with everybody here, failed to impress me. I heard a lot of good things about this episode from various others, and I kind of like the premise that was being brought up in the synopsis, but after watching it and really thinking about it, this one failed to impress me, and here's why. So the episode begins pretty much after the Cutie Mark Crusaders have gotten the cutie marks. They're still kind of like admiring it, but at this point they're having a hard time figuring out what they should do. One idea that they have is trying to help other ponies figure out, cutie mark problems and otherwise, and they have like ideas of doing this, but they're kind of afraid because of how good they are at figuring this stuff out. They need to find other ways to pass the time, which is understandable. I mean, it's like, if you just continuously do your job all the time, you're going to eventually break down from stress or something like that. So the CMC actually have the idea of basically trying to figure out things they can do together, which doesn't go very well. So they end up doing things on their own, separate from each other. Like Scootaloo goes bungee jumping, Sweetie Belle learns crocheting, and, well, there's the problem with Apple Bloom. The story mainly centers around Apple Bloom basically trying to find something to do, but still obsessing on the idea of the Cutie Mark Crusaders being friends, being alone again, and various other things of that nature. It's like, haven't we been here already with this kind of story concept? I mean, weren't we here once before with Call of the Cutie? But, okay, fine, that was a different scenario altogether, but it feels like we've been in this scenario once before, and it feels like we've been here already with Apple Bloom. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't be the only one who feels like we've been here already at this point. Do I think the episode is a bad one? Not really, because I do like the ending concept where Apple Bloom actually helps a pony who is into dancing and even begins to think, you know what, maybe I could try dancing as something to do as a hobby, even though we saw in an earlier part of the episode that she does potions as a hobby. I guess the one problem I have is that subplot with this small pony, with the cult who is into dancing and, wants to break stage fright and otherwise, it feels more like a subplot. It doesn't feel like a main plot of the story, especially considering that he gains his cutie mark almost within seconds of Apple Bloom and otherwise helping him. We don't even learn that cult's name, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even think we learned that cult's name, so that's how insignificant and unimportant him and his subplot are if we didn't even learn his name. He was only on screen for about, say, 4 minutes, so that's a problem in and of itself, and I really thought, if the episode was more focused on Apple Bloom helping this pony out and otherwise, and maybe going through a kind of existential crisis in some form or fashion, I'd be more lenient towards this episode and more accepting of it. But I felt the episode really failed to impress me in many areas and really just felt like it took too long to actually get the main point going. In the words of, like Monty Python, they did not get on with it. That's how I felt this episode was. So all in all, what do I think about this episode? I think it's just okay. I enjoyed certain parts of it. Don't get it twisted. I definitely like the Cutie Mark Crusaders dynamics in this episode, and I definitely like some of the ideas that they brought up, but everything else just felt very lackluster or just kind of poor in certain fronts. Not a bad episode, but this one failed to impress me. And that's kind of sad for me because it's kind of making me worried for the rest of the season. And that's my speed impressions on Your Marks.